Welcome to the first episode of Kiri Keys Podcast. I'm your host, Kiri G. Hey everybody, like the intro said, I'm Kiri G, and welcome to the podcast. This is the Kiri Keys Podcast, and I'll kind of explain a little bit later what I mean by Kiri Keys. Hopefully, you guys will stick around to the end of the podcast to get the full kind of summary and bio about kind of what my ideas are and why I started the podcast, who I am, and kind of all those things. So this is my first episode. I'm totally excited, a little bit nervous, mostly just hoping that my voice isn't annoying, really. So I decided to start the podcast because I have a website that I initially wanted to write blogs for, but I have an issue with writer's block. I have these tons of ideas that I start to write, but I can never really actually finish them. Or by the time that I started up one idea, I already had another idea. So I start recording my ideas with the voice recorder on my iPhone. When I was in the car, if I'm in the bed, if I'm at work, or wherever I am. If I know that later on in the day, because I do have short-term memory problems, I knew that if later on in the day I was going to forget it, I could record this voice memo to kind of give me a reminder about what my idea was. So I started that. So instead of having to keep track of the Post-its and the journal and stuff that I had in my purse and stuff like that, I thought the voice recordings would help me just help me become more efficient. So that was about a year ago. So speed up to now, I have hella voice memos in my iPhone that either I started writing a blog to or never even listen to again. I'm kind of listening back to some of them damn, I forgot I had this idea. In thinking about kind of how could I get those voice memos into words for my blog, my sister randomly texted me one day and she's like, you should start a podcast. And I'm like, why? She's like, cause the stuff that you say and the advice that you give, I think people really need to hear it. She's like, I've been listening to Amanda Seals' podcast, and not necessarily you're like her, but I think that what you have to say is relevant. And I'm like, oh, that's nice of you. It's my sister, whatever. It's real nice. I'd been listening to podcasts recently, and I noticed how easy it was for me to listen, at my convenience when I'm commuting. When I used to be on the train, now I drive. So in the car, I can listen to it really quickly. Or if I just have some downtime or need some inspiration, I have different podcasts that I can listen to when I need them and kind of to help me get focused and stuff like that. And instead of reading, I'm in school, obviously, which I'll get to a little bit later. So having to listen to a book versus reading another book outside of school is a lot easier for me. So that's kind of all going on at the same time. My sister kind of put the seed in my head, maybe you should start a podcast. I'm definitely listening to podcasts, various podcasts that I like, and kind of getting the feel for them and getting comfortable with them. And then thinking about, I have all these voice memos that I could use. So for her to give me that kind of boost of confidence, I think that kind of made me really, 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 really start thinking about it. And I hadn't been blogging, so it's well, girl, you got to put some content out there. So might as well get used to the idea of either blogging or podcasting to get my ideas across kind of the world that we live in today. If I'm going to have a website, I need some kind of content to be out there. So the voice memos came kind of easier to me than writing, sitting down. I can just sit and talk and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So after a few more weeks of thinking, literally this happened a couple months ago. So after a few more weeks of thinking about it, I kind of started to think about what did I want it to be called. And I came up with Kiri Keys. I came up with Kiri Keys just because it's my keys of life. And not to say that I'm a genius or I have all the answers or anything. But I think that the ability that I have to use logic and balance that with my emotions while also having control of my emotions has giving me kind of a insight into issues that I don't think a lot of people necessarily see at first. I think that a lot of people let their emotions drive them, and I'm not necessarily one of those people, but I'm also not one of those people that are so emotionless or cold-hearted that I don't have empathy or sympathy for anyone else. So that kind of is the reason why I kind of came up with that. I thought it was cool and kind of sounds cute. Kiri Keys. So that's kind of that. And the reason why I even have kind of the blog and the website in the first place is more related to like what my overall kind of idea of what I want to do with my life and my career and the things that I believe in is my goal is to become a marriage and family therapist. Like I said, I'm not sure if I said it, I'm sorry. Focusing on marriage and relationship counseling, but with a priority to African American families, Black families. I do believe that Black families and Black love is probably one of the most beautiful things that exist in the world that we live in today. And I believe that a lot of the reasons why Black children have difficult times coping in the society that we live in is because they may not have had a good foundation being built for them based on the resources and the relationship and the dynamic that they have in their family setting. So, just in plain English, I think that we're all pretty familiar with the fact that stereotypically there are a lot of single Black mothers in the world who don't necessarily have all the resources that they need, don't have the father in the home. Or if the father is involved, then stereotypically these relationships are baby mamas, baby daddies, a lot of drama, contentious relationships if they're not married. And even sometimes when they are married, environments of abuse and neglect and things like that. So stereotypically, of course, those things are exaggerated. However, I do believe that just from my own experience and my experience of my friends, family, and people around me and things that I've learned in my education so far, it's a fact. There is a divide in the Black family, and the divide starts with the Black man and the Black woman. And I believe that if that foundation was stronger, a lot of these situations that we have where our youth are troubled in certain areas, mental health, social abilities, identity issues, self-esteem, those types of things, that if there was a stronger foundation at home, or even not even at home, because the parents necessarily don't have to live together, but if the parents knew how to communicate and exhibit behaviors that were healthy for a growing child to witness, I think that it would do a lot more. It would help a lot more than people realize. I think that a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on other people to raise our children, not realizing that our children witness every single thing that we do, all the ways that we react, and they internalize these things, and those become the qualities that they exhibit when they become adults. So I don't have any kids. I'm not married, so I'm really not in a place to tell people anything, which I know. But again, that's why I'm going to school, so that I can become educated in these things, so that I can speak from a place of knowledge and training. But I also have been in long-term relationships and have witnessed a lot of things and kind of been involved in a lot of different situations that I believe help me to have an understanding for the issues that go on, not only in a relationship between a Black man and a Black woman, but also the relationship that a child can have with their parents, and kind of how that resonates and how that has helped me become the me that I am. So a little bit kind of summary about me, or kind of background information about me. I live in the suburbs of Chicago, and I say suburbs, specifically south suburbs, or if you care. It matters to people who live in Chicago. They very much do not like for people to say they're from Chicago if they are not, in fact, from Chicago. So, since my zip code doesn't start with 606, I guess I can't say I'm from Chicago, but I'm from Chicago. I'm working on my second bachelor's degree. And then I plan to go on to graduate school, of course, to become a licensed marriage and family therapist, hopefully in the state of Illinois. But I've also been thinking about Texas. A lot of people ask why I didn't just go to grad school. I already had a bachelor's degree in business. So why did I decide to just get a second bachelor's degree instead of just jumping right into the graduate program? First, I'm a perfectionist to some degree. I don't like to be bad at things that I do. If I am doing something, I typically take pride in it if it's something that I want to do, and I want to be good at it. So I felt like I wasn't going to be comfortable just going into a graduate program specifically for like a psychology or counseling program, and I didn't have any experience in it at all. Or formal experience, rather. Of course, I'm like the best advice giver in my own head and hopefully to my friends. But I went to business school at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And I majored in business administration and took a focus in human resources. When I was in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went through a couple of majors, but then I finally landed on business and HR because I knew that I wanted to know how to run a business. I didn't know what kind of business I was going to have, but I knew I wanted to be a business owner and kind of be in control of my own business and not really work for anyone forever. So I thought, well, if all else fails, at least I'll have this business degree. I'll learn how to work in different businesses in the corporate world and kind of take that experience at some point. Didn't really have no idea about what I was going to do with it once I graduated until I kind of got to the end and decided on the HR focus. And then I was like, I can do HR. I like working with people. I took a labor relations class at UIC with a great professor, and it made me really think about how cool it could be to work in business and have this degree in business and be like a smarty pants. Because people really at that time respected MBAs, and I thought I was going to go back and get my MBA, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Really cool to work in a corporate atmosphere, but still be able to relate to the people, like labor relations, employee relations. That involves dealing with people on the front line. Like I worked in retail through college, and just being in that atmosphere, I understand what it is to work in the customer service industry and be like a frontline employee, and everything's on you because you're the person that the customer sees. So I had a empathy for those types of employees, and I thought, well, this is a good balance. I got this degree where it's like business. I want to work in business. I decided that I wanted to work in HR, so I'm like, HR, this thing where I get to work with people and kind of help them and advocate for them on a business level, that seems kind of cool. I could probably do that. So I started to kind of dream of working in HR so that I can get to that point. Worked in HR, kind of worked an entry-level job for a big company, learned how to operate HRIS, that's Human Resources Information Systems, work on the back end of those, basically learn how to implement those for businesses, understand kind of how systems are built from a business standpoint so that the employees can utilize systems and just little stuff like that. So I was able to get a job doing that. Then worked as a recruiter in the staffing industry. So that's, again, using my business expertise as kind of just the know-it-all person that I am, to kind of work in different industries, but in one singular role. So I worked as a recruiter and worked with different companies in different industries to fill different types of positions. So use that experience to kind of, filled out if there are any other type of corporate jobs that I wanted to work, or any other business related jobs that I wanted to work, and how did I really feel about working in HR. And after some time, I kind of just decided that, this isn't for me. I don't really want to work for another person and make another person or a company rich or a family rich, and I don't have anything to show for it at the end of the day except for a whole bunch of years at a company and a couple of couple of $1,000, $100,000 is a lot. A couple of $1,000 in a 401k account. I'm like, that's just not good enough for me. That's not what I want to do. So I started to examine, what are the things that I really, really, really wanted to do. And I started thinking about my original kind of goals in high school. I wanted to become a psychologist. And I just let the the pressure of going to school for another 4 to 8 years to become licensed as a therapist kind of deter me from that. I was a senior in high school, tired of school, didn't see how I was going to do it for any much longer. Like, how can I do this for another 8 years? That means I'll be in school for 20 years. Like, that is ridiculous. Who wants to do that? So I decided to go into the business, and that's kind of why I got the business degree. But kind of speed up to now, funny how I was saying I don't want to be in school for 20 years, and I'm back in school. So funny how life works, right? So I'll be completing my degree in December of this year, and hopefully I'll be continuing on to the next step after that. As I was kind of coming to this realization that I wanted to be a marriage counselor, I decided that I wanted to document my journey in some way to become a therapist. And then hopefully, like, helping people along the way. Like, I don't want to wait until I become a therapist and keep working in this HR role that I work in now. Why can't I start giving advice and reaching out to people and growing a community now before? Because my goal is the same, whether I have this degree or not. Like, my goal of wanting to reach people and kind of get them to a point of kind of just self-love. So much so that they appreciate the relationships that they have, and because of that self-love, they create boundaries that reinforce positive relationships in their lives. I know I said my goal is to be a marriage and family therapist because of my kind of theory behind what's lacking in the black community as far as foundation and the strength between the black man and the black woman. But I do also advocate for just self-love because I do believe, just like everybody else, cliche, it all starts from within, because it really does. Everything that you do is a reflection of you. The people that you hang around, the activities that you partake in and day out, how you feel about certain things, all those things are a reflection of you. So if you're not right with yourself and inside, then you'll never be able to pursue other things or ever come out, the situations won't benefit you as much as you kind of think that they should. Things won't work out for you, I don't think, the way that you would imagine them working out, or maybe they do. And if you loved yourself a little bit more, things would be even better. I don't know. That's my belief. I don't really have any proof other than I know how I feel when I make a decision because I love myself enough to either not tolerate something and made a decision to kind of stop something or create a boundary. I may not have liked it at the moment, but later I think that it showed me that, hey, you can do this. You can create a boundary. You were right. It worked, kind of thing. But that's off the subject. We'll probably discuss things like that later down the line. Back to me wanting to document my journey to becoming a marriage and family therapist. I know that the way that we grow up has a lot to do with how we are. So the world that we live in now is a lot of people being open books, YouTube sensations, people just reality TV. People want to connect with people who are authentic. So I've never seen anyone go through a journey to become a doctor, lawyer, therapist, or anything like that, and to have a perspective from somebody who looks like me, is a woman like me, is doing something that I want to do. It definitely is something that I thought would be really kind of cool. So, and then even if no one pays attention to it, I could always have it for my own kind of personal reference to look back on and see how much progress I've been making through the whole journey. It's been a long journey for me, honestly, already, and I haven't even done shit yet. Oh, by the way, I do cuss a lot. I'll try to keep it clean on the podcast, but I do cuss a lot. I can't even lie. Yeah, that's, yeah, I don't even have anything else about that. So if you don't like cussing or you think it's not ladylike or whatever the hell, I was going to say the F word, whatever the fuck you think it is, see, it is what it is. I don't apologize for it. I don't think it's anything wrong with it. You'll see that I'm not a fool, and I just like, I don't know if I like to cuss or that's how I express myself. I don't really want to make any kind of excuses for it or kind of, it is no reasoning for it. That's just who I am. So if you don't like it, unfortunately, it's not going to change. I just hope that you can bear with it. Anywho. So, I think I was talking about documenting my journey and how it would be cool. So yeah, that's like how it all started, the website and everything. So this is the timeline. Graduated from college with a degree in business, start working in an HR roles, did that for 5, I'm in my 7th year now. A couple years ago, I decided to go back to school, get my 2nd degree in psychology so that I can move on to a graduate program. So this December 2018, your girl will have a 2nd bachelor's degree, this time in psychology. And I will, right after that, be applying for, if not before, applying for graduate schools here in the state of Illinois. And also in a few other states that I want to move to or possibly move to, one of which, like my kind of the highest on the list, is Texas. So those are my, that's kind of catch you up to now. So I think that like the next thing that I kind of want to cover, you guys know a little bit about me. I think I'm not sure if you want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. What goes into me kind of even caring about marriage and black families and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm black. I grew up in a 2-parent home. My parents are married, so that may have something to do with it. Not the most perfect relationship, but in fact, it is a relationship. They met before I was born. I'm 31 this year, so they've been married for 32 years. I've learned a lot from them, just being able to watch them growing up, and me just being cognizant of the person that I am and aware and having like a high level of self-awareness, in addition to like just other people's emotional kind of state of mind. I think I have a high emotional intelligence kind of reading on people, and I'm also very aware of my emotions too. So that allows me to see my parents and their dynamic in different ways than I think most children will be able to do so, and kind of see how that influences me and how it has helped or harmed me in my relationships with people and myself. I think another thing that I think contributes to this kind of fascination that I have with like black families, the dynamic between a black man and a black woman is because as I am getting older, obviously I'm 31 years old, dating and growing up, just always knowing that as a woman, as a female, that you are supposed to get married and have children, is always something that just resonates in the back of your head all the time. And as a woman, in this day and age, I believe that I am, in a lot of ways, what you would consider a millennial black woman, in like my thinking and my thought process and kind of my goals and my desires of life and kind of where I stand on a lot of issues. I think I represent that. So for me, in that position, it's been very difficult, to see how the dynamic between men and women has changed in recent years, specifically in the Black community, and how it's difficult to be an independent woman, but also have traditional values as a woman in this society, where our male counterparts aren't necessarily taught to have such a high regard for those things as well. Men are taught to conquer women, and a lot of them, versus women being taught to solely look for one person to mate with and have their children with. Mate sounds like we're animals, but it truly is that, because it is biological. Women are here to reproduce, so a lot of what we do is based on securing that, because that's a goal of us as a woman, even without us consciously trying to. Women want to bear children because that's what they were created to do, and men were created to provide women with children, so that's what they want to do. They just want to sow oats and more things than women would like to. So that's where the disconnect to, which is something that I'm actually going to get into, I think, on my next podcast, because I think that disconnect between men and women is a huge factor in why the communication, and there's like such a breakdown with Black men and Black women right now. So don't get me wrong, I am definitely one of those independent women who I do want to be able to take care of myself, but don't get it twisted. I still want a man that is going to be traditional and wants to take care of me and allow us to take care of each other. I think that people, mostly men, get this idea of independent woman means I don't need you, and it's like, no, it's not that I don't need you, but we come from a history of where we needed you so much that we weren't able to break free in situations that weren't beneficial to us. So now that I can provide for myself, now that I can go out here and get it, I want to do that. But I want to do it not at the expense of me being a woman and being able to bear children and being in a relationship where a man thinks that I am vulnerable. But I also want to do it in a way where I don't have to hide that, or I don't have to be held in like second command to a man. I want us to be equals. Like, those are the things that I think cause the issues. So that brings me to kind of the general idea of kind of the messages and kind of the things and topics I'm going to discuss on my podcast is those issues of a Black millennial woman, me, going through different things and thinking about different questions, and just seeing what life is giving us at this moment in time when it comes to the dating world and just relationship with friends, family. So it just won't be about relationships. I won't just be talking about that kind of romantic relationship stuff. It's going to be all relationships, friends, families, co-workers, associates, business workers, business partners, stuff like that. Like, I think that a lot of it is also going to be about just self-awareness, self-love, self-appreciation, because I think, again, it starts from within. So a lot of what I'm speaking to on a personal level is because I've went through enough to know kind of the things that you can do to harm yourself, as far as like thinking, self-thoughts and stuff like that. But in addition to just being able to use what you have to get you to where you need to be, when it comes to a place of like just like self-assuredness and just being confident in your own abilities and your own personality and things that you have to offer. Yeah. I think that kind of summarizes all the things that I kind of want to cover. Of course, I'm pretty sure I left some things out. I have like little baby goals, and then I have like huge monstrous ass goals. The podcast is kind of just an outlet for me to kind of get all these like ideas out of my head that I have, because I wasn't able to get them on paper. But and then also to just get to a point where I feel comfortable communicating whatever it is that I want to communicate. Recording this first podcast, seriously, you guys, it's been at least, if this is so, I had told myself that the month of June I was going to record a podcast once a week and then not put them out until July. Here we are, first week of July I'm recording this, and this is the first one just because I didn't have the balls to do it. I don't like my voice, so that's something that really just in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is going to sound annoying. And then it's just a nerve-wracking feeling to not know how things are going to be received. But like I said, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and I've been listening to a lot of inspirational ones, or ones just from people who have been through similar things, like just crossing the other side of fear, when it comes to like just personal endeavors and things that you want to do when it comes to entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So for me, I just had to tell myself that even if nobody listened to it, it would be a way for me to capture my own journey and keep track of it, and I can listen back to it, and I can maybe use it for something later on in life that may be beneficial. So the journey really, 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 really begins. Consistency is necessary. Discipline is necessary. All things that I will discuss with you guys at some point, because I know that I have issues in those areas, and sometimes I'm really good about them. And I think that being or wanting to be an entrepreneur looks all good and shit when it's the end of the road. But in the beginning, when you got to buckle down and grind it out and hustle, the discipline and the commitment and all that really, really, really is necessary. And that is something that I am certainly working on. Haven't quite mastered it yet. So that's me ranting. I guess that I think I told you guys everything about me, kind of what I want to do. I hope that you guys are excited. I know I don't sound excited. I'm just nervous. So I hope that everyone has enjoyed getting to know me a little bit, and hopefully are interested in getting to know me a little bit more and the things that I like to discuss. And of course, all the links to my website and all those things will be in the description for the episode. And you can contact me. I'll put contact stuff up for you guys and everything. So if you want to talk, if you have any ideas, or just let me know what you think, I'm definitely open to it. I do have some ideas for some blogs and some podcasts that I want to do. So my focus right now is probably going to be on the podcast. And hopefully I'll be able to kind of supplement it with some blogs. But right now, I think that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I took a long time to think about it, and hopefully this is the start of a good journey. So hopefully you guys will tune in to the next podcast, and I think I'm definitely going to cover the disconnect between men and women right now, just because lately I think that I've been seeing a lot of stuff where it's just that men and women are not built on the same principles when it comes to dating. And I think women, we often blame ourselves for it. So it's just been a lot of that I've been seeing lately. So we'll talk about it. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Subscribe, sign up for notifications on the website, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, self-love is the best love.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.